Yeah, I'm assuming you can hear me now because my connection gets way better when I go outside. So the point is that the unqualified identity operator, as it's standardly used in Leibniz's law, is what you're referring to. But even that doesn't tell us whether we're talking about altering the syntax or altering the semantic interpretation of identity in Leibniz's law, which wouldn't change the formula. What you're referring to is the well-formed formula, right? Which is X equals Y implies for all properties X, biconditional all properties Y. That's what you're referring to, the indiscernibles of identity.
Does anyone who believes that the Father is identical to God believe that he's identical to God and that it satisfies Leibniz's law?
That it satisfies? Are you saying, do they formalize it with identity such that identity includes the indiscernibles of identity? Then there are some people. Are you saying, are there people who try to formalize it that way?
I'm asking, are there Trinitarians who believe that?
When you say believe, are you saying believe that it doesn't entail that the Father is the Son? Meaning, if they formalize it that way,
are you like Jordan Peterson or something? I feel like that this is not Johannes.
You understand that logic is like a very nuanced subject matter, right?
Peterson. Dude,
well, that's because you're so used to using terms incorrectly.
No, it's not. It's just that you're used to talking and not listening. That's the difference.
You've been talking over me the entire time.
No, I have not. I've been letting you speak the entire time.
You don't even know what the point. You didn't know what a model was until Nick brought it up to you. I don't know why you're trying to act like you have some knowledge in this.
Dude, not only do I have more knowledge than you, I've been teaching you and all your fanboys for the past 7 years.
Okay, tell us, what is a model?
You're on the catch-up, Silencio. So
okay, what is a model?
I'm going to ask you the same question I just asked you, which you didn't answer 3 or 4 times.
What's a model?
Okay. Are there any Trinitarians who say and believe that when they say the Father is God, that is understood as an identity statement which satisfies Leibniz's law? Yes or no?
There are Trinitarians who may believe that formalizing the statement with identity does not yield some falsum nor contradiction, if that's what you're asking.
That wasn't the question. Try again.
What was your question?
Try again, soldier. I know
the funny thing is you think you know what you're talking about. You don't.
No, the funny thing is you think you know what you're talking about, but you're an idiot. You don't know anything about the topic.
Okay.
You're a complete ignoramus.
Okay, tell us what a model is first.
So I'm going to ask you the question one more time. Are there Trinitarians who believe when they say that the Father is identical to God, that's an identity statement that satisfies Leibniz's law? Yes or no?
I don't see any other way of interpreting that question unless you clarify, besides you asking me whether or not there are Trinitarians who believe you can formalize it with identity. Since you're talking about formal systems right now, you're talking about derivations, entailments, consequent, right? You're talking about deriving something from the set of statements. So that's how I'm interpreting you, because the domain of which you're speaking in is logic, right? So if that's what you're asking me...
No, it's not. I'm asking you.
Wait, you're not asking me about logic, but you're asking me about Leibniz's law.
I'm asking you.
Wait, clarify.
I'm asking you what Trinitarians believe.
I know you're asking me what Trinitarians believe, but you said Leibniz's law. Is that logic?
Yeah, and why can't you answer a simple? Why can't you answer it simple? Why can't you answer a simple yes or no question?
Because you just said you're not asking me a question about logic, but you just said Leibniz's law.
In connection to what people believe.
And the belief is indexed to the formalization. That's what you're asking.
I ask you, when they assert that the Father is identical to God, are there Trinitarians who believe that statement is true and that the type of identity being asserted is satisfying Leibniz's law?
There's no sense of satisfying anything unless there's a model. Satisfaction in logic is talking about model. When you're talking about beliefs in relation to Leibniz's law, you're talking about whether or not the person believes a certain set of statements can be satisfied considering some model. Do you know what a model is?
Dude, I'm asking you a question and you're responding.
Oh my God, you're so confused.
I'm asking you a question and you're responding with a question. Is it
no, it's not. No. What I said is not a question. It's a correction. When you say satisfiability, when you say satisfy, let me explain something to you. Be the student for once. It'll serve you
No,
right now.
why don't
When
you
someone,
answer the question?
when
Why
someone,
don't
look
you
at,
answer the question?
when someone says something satisfiable, satisfiability is something we say about models when we're formalizing stuff, right? It's talking about the set of statements such that the statements come out true in a model. That's what satisfiability is. So when you say, does the person believe, or the Christian believe that they interpret identity as such, you're asking about the person taking natural language statements into formal language. That has to do with satisfiability. Do I believe they're satisfiable under a certain model? Well, I believe that the Trinitarian may believe that it could be satisfiable and that it's adequate, meaning that it represents the statements and preserves their truth conditions. But that I don't believe that's true, because you can derive a falsum, or if you derive, depending on your formalization, I'm assuming your formalization.
Good. Now we're getting
Similar.
somewhere.
Let me finish, because you didn't understand the whole first part. You didn't understand the whole first part.
I did. I'm educating you.
You didn't understand the first part. Let me explain more.
I'm educating you slowly, sir. I'm educating you slowly. I know you have to step outside of your apartment to actually hear something. So listen.
I did. My internet is bad in my apartment.
You're getting this down, and all your little fanboys too. Okay. Listen. The point is, I asked you several times, and now you're getting to the fact that there are actually Trinitarians who do believe that the Father is identical to God, and they do interpret that as satisfying Leibniz's law. Now you're saying
you can't satisfy Leibniz's law.
You're saying that the person who does that runs into a problem, and they run into contradictions.
Okay, you can't. Let's start somewhere. You're incorrect. You can't satisfy Leibniz's law. You can't satisfy. So what is satisfiability when formalizing something in model theoretic terms?
I can't believe this, man. You're saying that something cannot satisfy Leibniz's law.
What is satisfiability?
That's the point. You don't even know.
I just taught you what it is, but you have a hard time listening.
Bro? What are you on here talking about? You don't even know.
Okay, in case you weren't listening, I just explained it to you. It's when you interpret, you have a model such that the statements come out true in the model. Right? Which statement is Leibniz's law?
What do you mean, which statement? It's not a statement.
Which of the Trinitarian statements?
Bro, we just went through this. You just admitted.
Okay, you don't understand what you're saying. Let's move on from that. You don't understand what you're saying.
You just admitted that there are Trinitarians that believe that they are asserting that the Father is identical to God, and by identity, that is the classical absolute identity, which is an equivalence relation, which everything has to itself and nothing else, and which satisfies Leibniz's law. You just admitted that there are people who hold that position.
Okay, it's not a... When you say hold that position, again, I'm going to have to explain it to you again. You don't understand what's going on. When you say the person believes something, there's no, in logic, it's formalizing something isn't a belief. There's just a model, or there's a formalization of something, meaning
there's an interpretation.
There's an interpretation function. Do you know what that is? It's not just an interpretation.
And we're talking about the interpretation, genius.
No, okay.
That's what we're talking about.
There's a difference between, broadly speaking, interpretation and an interpretation function. Do you know what that is?
We are talking about the interpretation of the statement.
Yeah, okay. The interpretation of the statement in the model, in the formalization, it's governed by an interpretation function. You take the statements in, and it indexes an interpretation to each of the objects in the domain. That's what a model is.
You already admitted that there are Trinitarians who interpret the statement as an identity relation, which is satisfying Leibniz's law. You already admitted it.
Okay, are there Muslims who have false beliefs?
Of course.
Okay, and what you're saying, and what I'm telling you, is that formalizing a set of statements using identity leads to a falsum, which leads to a belief we don't believe, or derive something we don't believe in. So, is it an issue that a Christian may formalize something a certain way and it derives some contradiction?
Yeah, that means that his belief would be false.
Okay, just like there are some Muslims who have false beliefs, right? But we don't care,
Exactly.
right? But we don't care about the people who do have false beliefs, right? We care about the
Yes,
true
we do.
beliefs.
Yes, we do.
Okay, why do we
Yes,
care
we
about
do. That's why you are so slow, dude. You're not catching up. The whole discussion about the LPT is we are talking about what is possible and what is common in terms of the interpretation of these statements. That's the whole point.
possible considering what modality?
Bro, you're not listening here. You're saying
I'm repeating to you the word you used.
You're saying no, you're confused. You're
No,
actually
I didn't say you're
genuinely-
confused, Jake.
You're
Listen, I said
genuinely retarded. Honestly,
I
genuinely.
didn't. Good job trying to get your live gone so that you don't have to continue the conversation. Good job.
Why don't you listen for a second? Okay.
I mean, you're trying to end this live.
You're not actually.
You're saying
listening.
words to end it.
You're not actually listening to the point. You're saying that because it results in a contradiction or a false belief, therefore it's not relevant to the discussion of the LPT. No, of course it's relevant to the discussion of the LPT because some people do not see the entailment of that belief, that it leads to a contradiction. And that's the whole point of what is being shown in the outset. It's saying that if you believe this, that the Father is God, and you interpret it as such, then this is the entailment. I know they hate when I use the R word. I'm sorry. The entailment of that, okay, it's being restricted. The entailment of that is X, and we explain what that is.
Okay.
So that the person then
Let's
is going to
clarify
have
something.
good reason. The person is going to have good reason to actually doubt the belief that got them to that position. That's the whole point.
Okay, so the goal is to get them to doubt the original statements, right?
No.
Is that what you said?
It's for them to doubt their original interpretation of the statement and why it can't be true.
Oh, so the point is that you're only talking about people who formalize the Trinity a certain way. You're not trying to prove the Trinity is illogical, correct?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you is, in that specific case, the one that we've been talking about this entire time, what is being demonstrated there or attempted to be demonstrated is that the person's belief is false because what they're believing in the first case entails another belief which they reject, which is that the Father is identical to the Son, which is contradictory, and therefore
let's get some clarification.
They have to hold on a second. They have to reinterpret the statement to begin with.
Okay, let's I'm going to stick on what you're saying. Let's clarify what you're saying, please. So are you saying that their belief is false? Are you saying a specific model is false? Or are you saying it's false that the Father is God?
No, it's false that the Father is identical to God in the sense that it satisfies Leibniz's law.
Okay, so you're only talking about a specific model. You're not making claim to whether... Let me finish, please. Let me finish. You can't keep interrupting me. You can't keep interrupting me and try to understand me. Look, you got to try to understand what I'm asking you here. Are you saying that, one, this proves the Trinity is illogical, or two, this just disproves a specific model, or three, that the informal statements themselves are false? Which one are you saying?
Why would I say that this alone proves that the Trinity is false or illogical if we're only speaking about one specific interpretation of Trinitarian statements? That makes no sense. The question is retarded, bro.
Okay, I know you're spamming the word trying to get this live down so you don't have to continue talking, but please stop doing that.
I would love to continue belting you, man. I like it. Trust me.
Okay, so you're saying that it doesn't. So you said, one, it doesn't disprove the Trinity, and two, it doesn't prove the Trinity is illogical, correct?
In the specific nature in which we're discussing, we're not talking about the
You're not
Trinity.
answering my question. Answer my question.
I am. You're just a slow boy.
Yes or no?
Listen, slow boy. Listen.
Yes or no? I haven't insulted you. You don't have to spaz out. It's okay.
Listen, slow boy. Yes, you have insulted me numerous times.
No, I haven't. They were just descriptions.
I saw what you were saying on your previous live stream about me, dude. You think I don't know?
That's not an insult. Those aren't insults.
Yeah, it was an insult. You were insulting me several times. You're calling me a grifter. You're talking about...
That's not an insult. That's a fact.
No, it's not. What's a fact is you have long hair, and Paul said that you're a female. Why do you have long hair when Paul told
Okay,
you not
nice
to?
job switching the subject. All right, let's go back
Why
to
do
the
you
subject.
have long hair and Paul told you not to?
Why do you speak on things you don't know about, like models?
Answer the
Anyways, let's
question.
go back. Let's go back.
Why do you have long hair when Paul
Okay,
said having long hair
he
is a
conceded.
female
He
trait?
conceded. Can we go back to the original topic?
Can you answer the question?
I want to go back to the original topic.
Why do you have long hair when Paul said that having long hair is a female trait? It's from the female nature. Why do you have that?
Look, do you want to continue the topic or no?
You can't answer the question?
Oh, you're genuinely an embarrassment.
Yet, dude.
You're an embarrassment.
You haven't been able to answer a single question yet.
Jake, I'm broke. Lower the price from $500 minimum to $50. That's all I have right now, please.
Dude, okay? I'll give it to you for free if you sit there like a good choir boy. But here's the question I want to know. My request
though is that you get rid of the $500 minimum.
No, it's not a $500 minimum. Since you claim to follow Paul, why don't you follow his teaching? And why do you have long hair?
Can we get back to the topic?
Answer the question. Why do you have long hair, bro?
Oh my God. How convenient. You want to run away from the topic.
You won't answer. It's a simple question.
Do you want to continue the topic or no?
Why do you have long hair when Paul says that's for females, bro? We all want to know.
I'm broke. What is it? Okay, can we get back to the topic? This is not interesting.
Yeah, once you answer that question, it's a genuine question.
It's not a genuine question. You're just a grifter who's mad because I'm calling out you're grifting.
It's a genuine question.
Wait, here's a genuine question. Why does the only options?
I'm trying to see if you really believe.
Why is the only options in your course $500, $1,000, $1,500? Why are those the only options?
They're not. Those aren't the only options.
Put my screen big so I can screen share.
Dude, those are not the only options. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, I don't? Put my screen big. Put my screen big.
Don't. Do you know that we lowered the total for the course?
Put my screen big.
You know that we lowered the total for the course?
Put my screen big. Oh, how much did it go down to? 300 now?
Total for the course? So just like when you're supposed to be talking about me and the LPT and what I say, and you grift to talking about grifting, that's what I'm going to do here on this live when you're sitting there with your long hair when Paul said you're like a female. So why don't you answer the question?
Instead of grifting your base, why don't you actually provide something meaningful?
Why do you have long hair if Paul said having long hair
How do I
is for
share my
females?
screen? How do I do that?
Answer the question, son.
You're not being serious right now.
I am dead serious. Just like you're trying to be dead serious about grifting.
I mean, that's serious.
Look, don't be jealous just because you're in an apartment by yourself and you can't actually afford good Wi-Fi and I'm out here getting money. Don't be jealous of that. What you need to do
I would be jealous about you grifting.
What you need to do is, if you want to build up your name, build it. But don't try to do it off me because it's not going to work. Because you're just going to get up here and you're going to get blasted. It's
okay, simple. Guys, read that. What's the minimum he offers there, guys?
Answer the question, sir. Answer the minimum.
What's the minimum of his Dawa Accelerator course?
Answer the question. Why do you have long hair? Why do you have long hair if Paul says not to?
Hey, can you enlarge?
You can't
look at $500 minimum. Hey guys, look at this.
Why can't you answer the question, bro?
Why can't you look at the screen? Why don't you enlarge it? The minimum's $500.
You can't answer it, huh? Are you ashamed?
Instead of offering the people, you should be ashamed of yourself for grifting Muslims.
Bro, are you ashamed that you have long hair and Paul says you're like a female?
$500 minimum.
Are you ashamed of that, sir?
As you just said, I'm in an apartment. You need to lower it.
Paul says you're like a female, bro. Paul says you're like a female. That's pretty bad, bro. Says judge for yourself. Judge for yourselves.
And how much does that currency in Moroccan pesos?
Is it proper for a woman to pray to God with her head uncovered? Does not the very nature of things teach you that if a man has long hair, it is a disgrace to him? So that's a question for you, Johannes. Does not the very nature of things teach you that if a man has long hair, it is a disgrace to him?
All right, this is getting
get back to the LPT. So now the question for you, Mr. Are we concerned? Is all the LPT concerned with mere formal consistency? Is that all we're concerned with?
Well, as you read in your paper, you reference rich. I don't know. Let's read it together. Let me pull up the paper.
No, I asked you a question, bro.
I want to go off of what you said.
It's a yes or no. You answer yes or no, and then you expand.
Let me pull this up.
The question is yes or no, and then you expand. Do you know how to answer a question? Is the LPT...
Stop talking for a second.
Is the LPT...
Stop talking for a second.
Is the LPT...
Wait, stop talking for a second. Stop talking for a second.
Is the LPT only concerned with formal consistency or not?
This is the only way you can engage because you're just embarrassing.
It's a simple yes or no question. See, now
you gotta stop talking so I can answer the question.
You had an excuse when I was making fun of your long hair, but now I'm asking you a direct question.
So I can answer.
I'm asking you a direct question about the LPT.
It's okay.
Is the LPT
it's okay.
only concerned with...
I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna answer.
Yes
stop
or no?
Talking. Stop talking.
Say yes
stop
or no.
talking so I can answer
Say yes
it.
or no.
Pause so I can answer it. Okay.
Say yes or no.
Okay, stop. Let me stop talking so I can answer.
You're not going to answer how you want. You're going to answer yes or no. You're going to answer yes or no and then expand.
Stop talking so I can answer
it. You're going to answer yes or no and then expand.
Stop talking so I can answer it.
Yes or no and then expand.
Stop talking so I can answer it. I'm going to say this. It's number one, it's a loaded question, which is why I want to elaborate on it.
Question is yes or no.
If it's loaded, why would I answer yes or no?
So you can answer yes or no.
How did you derive that?
You just admitted on your own live that of course the LPT isn't only limited to formal consistency.
It's not.
It's not. Exactly.
It's not.
So
stop
Jake,
talking for a second. Stop talking for a second. You're losing your drifting base.
I'm going to ask you one question.
In your paper, you say the LPT forms an inconsistent set. Inconsistent sets are model theoretic. Inconsistent sets are model theoretic.
I'm going to make your day.
Inconsistent sets are model theoretic.
You
write this. The claim is that these 7 propositions are necessary for Trinitarians to affirm and form
I'm going to make your
an
day.
inconsistent set.
Watch. The whole discussion is going to end right here.
That the LPT you're talking about is forming an inconsistent set. Inconsistent sets are model theoretic. You're referring to a formal issue in your paper.
Okay. You're breaking up, JuJu. You got to go back outside. You're breaking up. You got to go back outside, dude.
Listen. Stop speaking so you can hear me. Stop speaking so you can hear me.
You got to go back outside. We can't hear you.
It'll be much easier to hear me if you stop speaking over me.
You keep talking. I'm asking you. I'm trying to ask you.
It'll be easier to hear me if you stop talking over me.
I'm trying to ask you one question.
Just stop speaking over me. Jake, you've been speaking this entire time. Let me get something out.
You've been speaking for the past 5 minutes.
No, I haven't. Let me get something out. No, I haven't. Let me get something out, and then you can go. Just give me a minute, and then you can go, and then we got a minute like rational people. Let's do that, okay?
Listen, we're going to give you 1 minute uninterrupted, and then I'm going to ask you a simple question, and you're going to answer, right?
Yes, I'll answer after that.
Go ahead. 1 minute uninterrupted. Go ahead. Let me get my timer.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I want to respect the time. I'm not going to go over it.
Go ahead, bro. We're going to give you extra time.
All right, okay. The reason to say that something can be only used in one sense is ridiculous. Words have multiple meanings, phrases have multiple meanings. What's relevant is what the literature is predominantly speaking about when we reference the LPT. When you reference the LPT in your paper, you credit its original analytic formalization to Richard Cartwright, who's speaking of a formal issue. You then say, this is what you are speaking about, because then you start talking about the is of predication, is of identity, and you start talking about forming inconsistent sets, which is a formal issue. You then continue on to speak about the formal issue, and then you then later import metaphysics. But you, one, accredited the original problem to Richard Cartwright, so it's not irrational for us to deal with it in purely formal terms before talking about other issues regarding LPT, which broadly speaks about incarnation and other issues. You in your debate against Nick said this has nothing to do with the LPT. You said that. You're wrong. When I talk about this, I'm talking about something that's predominantly in the literature. Go ahead.
Time's up over Blau. Time's up over Blau. Listen, I'm going to reset 1 minute so people can see it on my end, but it's not going to take 1 minute. It's just a simple question.
Do you want me to elaborate on it or no?
No, bro, you had your time. You get 1 minute uninterrupted.
Yeah, but
Okay?
that wasn't about answering your question specifically. It's about the loadedness of the question.
Okay, so if I ask you a different question, you'll get another minute. That's how it goes.
I know, but what I'm saying is that I'll answer yes and I'll elaborate on it.
Okay, I don't care how you answer it because now we're doing timed. You got 1 minute.
Okay.
So I'm going to start my 1 minute. Now, everybody can see it starting here. Now, Mr. Silencio, did you just say that my paper initially started out talking about a formal matter and then went into metaphysics? Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So was my paper, which was on the LPT, was it limited to formal consistency or did it also
No.
talk about metaphysics?
It's also talked about metaphysics.
Okay, good. Now, here's the second question because I still got time left. I still got 30 seconds.
You can take all the time you want. Give yourself another minute.
No, I only need one more question and then the whole thing is done, dude. The whole question is done.
Go ahead.
Have I ever said that the Trinity cannot be formulated in such a manner to be formally consistent?
Have I ever said, yeah, when you claim the Trinity is illogical in your paper?
Okay, so when I claim that the Trinity is illogical, I mean in the sense that it, hold on a second. I want to be clear about what you're saying. The question is for you. When you think when I say that the Trinity is illogical, I mean that it cannot be put into a formally consistent set.
I think you don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing coherent coming out of you.
Okay, so the answer is no? I don't believe that?
I don't know if I would say no. I would say that you're confused about what you're saying and that the way that these terms are normally used, after you talk about inconsistent set and you use the terms like illogical, you're in the domain of logic, and illogical means there is not one model that can satisfy the set of statements. Now, you may be confused and you're talking about other stuff while you're talking about that, but that doesn't mean that you're making the division in the sense where you're talking about distinct subjects. That just means you're confusing the domains.
Are you done? Because you still got time left.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, good. So I'm going to restart it now. You said that I'm confused because in the beginning of the paper, I'm talking about purely logical consistency and formal consistency. But you admit that in the rest of the paper, I go through speaking about the metaphysics. Why do I speak about the metaphysics in that paper?
As I just said, it's because you're confused on the difference between illogicality in its formal sense and illogicality in a broader sense. It's because you're confused.
So it's confused. It can't be the case that when Jake says illogical in one context, he has one meaning, and then when he means it in another context, he means something else, and he's not confusing those. He's just using the same word in two different senses in two different domains. That's not possible, sir?
I just answered that. I said it's not the case that you're talking about distinct domains representing distinct issues. It's the case that you're mixing the term illogical.
So what do you think I mean when I say illogical?
I think you're confused. I already answered that question.
When I say that the Trinity, when I say that the Trinity is illogical, okay, what do you think I mean by that?
I think you are confused. I already answered this because to understand the difference between illogical in the metaphysical sense or in a broader sense of incoherence and in the formal sense, you have to understand what a model is. But you didn't know what a model is in Nick's debate. So of course you don't understand the difference.
You didn't answer the question.
I did. No. My answer was that you're confused. There's no coherent meaning in mind. And we have reason. We have good reason to believe that you're just confused about how you're using these terms.
Okay, so I'm just confused about it. Okay, have I ever publicly stated that the Trinity could be formally consistent in a set if it's interpreted a certain way?
You actually said in the Nick debate that it could be made consistent, but what you clarified upon that is you said it could be consistent. You also made a Twitter post where you said there's equivocation models, there's issues with relative identity. So it's not that there's a model in the sense that we're talking about the domain of logic, inference, axioms that you accept, which is what I'm talking about, right? We're not talking about non-classical logic. We're not talking about relative identity that you don't accept. We're talking about when me and you have the same logical assumptions, right? Same axioms, same well-formed formulas we accept in our logical language. We're saying, is there at least one model that can represent the set of statements? When you say consistent, as you tweeted on X, you said, yes, there's models, but they have issues. You're saying that the logical language, you're saying you don't accept this in your logical language, relative identity, or you're saying it equivocates, which means there's an issue with the model. You're not saying there is a model that can be made consistent.
No, not at all. Do you know what I mean when I say equivocates?
I have your tweet. I could put it on my screen.
Just answer the question, because you need to bring it up because you don't understand. You're being educated. Answer the question. When I say equivocate, what do I mean?
I answered your question.
No, because you're going to read my tweet now, bro.
No, I'm not going to read your tweet. I'm not going to read your tweet.
Can't hear you. So when I say that equivocation, that there are equivocation models which are
I'm not going to read your tweet. I said.
When I say that there are equivocation models which are formally consistent, what do I mean by that?
As you said in the Nick debate, it was the same thing. You said the Trinity can be made logically consistent in the same way, in the same consistency that J.C. Bell's contradictory Christ is consistent. No, that's what you said. No, you said that word for word.
I mentioned J.C. Beale, but he's just one example. He's not the only example.
Yeah, but that's not
in my honesty.
Under Nick's view. Let me explain something to you, please.
Silencio.
Okay, take your minute. Do the minute. Do the minute.
Okay. Silencio. Do you know what silencio means?
I speak Spanish. Silencio means silence. Yeah.
Okay, exactly. Cállate la boca. That's what it means. Now, the point is, Mr. Silencio.
Did you put the minute?
Yeah, I have it on, but I'm not even going to take the full minute. Okay. So the point is, Mr. Silencio, when I make the comment about J.C. Beale, that's one example that I said off the cuff as a remark in the debate with Nick. In my Twitter post, I did not limit it to J.C. Beale. I gave several different examples that are formally consistent. Now, I'm asking you the question. When I gave those...
Well, let me respond to that first. And then I'll answer your question.
You're cutting me off. My minute's not up yet. I still got 28 seconds. Still have 28 seconds. I'm landing the plane. I'm asking you the question. When I say that in the Twitter post that there are several different examples of Trinitarian models that are formally consistent, what do I mean by that in the Twitter post?
Okay. Now, I'm going to answer your question. I want to respond to what you said about J.C. Bell because it adds context to your question. So J.C. Bell, it's not an example because it wouldn't be rendered consistent under Nick's framework because Nick is a classical logician. J.C. Bell's definition of consistency doesn't exclude contradiction. Normally, in classical logic, contradiction is taken to be the same thing as saying there's some falsum, right? But under Nick's interpretation, or under Nick's logic, classical logic, it's not this consistent in the same way J.C. Bell's is. In the same way, when you refer to your X post and you say relative identity can be made consistent, you're saying under a logic which accepts relative identity as a part of its language, namely the sortal indexed identity operator, can then be made formally consistent. So the can there isn't the scope of logical possibility indexed to Nick or yours or my logical systems. So we're not talking about any of our logical systems. All you're saying there is that there is a logical system out there that can accommodate that. But then that's when you say it's ad hoc.
Time's up. Time's up, Silencio. Listen, so now we're getting slowly closer and closer to when you're going to admit the truth. And I'm so happy about this. We're just slowly getting there. So Jake is saying, we have an admission that Jake is publicly saying that the Trinity can be formally consistent, whether on J.C. Beale's logical framework, which is non-classical, on a relative identity framework, which you're saying is not classical. Now, we're getting that admission. But now I want you to come over just a little bit closer Does Jake in his Twitter post have any models of the Trinity that I admit that are formally consistent and that use or are limited to classical logic and not non-classical logics? Yes or no?
That's the concession of the whole debate.
You didn't answer the question, sir.
Yes, you concede that the Trinity is logical. You concede that the Trinity is logical, yes. But you also... Huh?
Do you want your minute?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
So you concede that the Trinity is logical, which means that under classical logic, a logic that you accept, the Trinity is logical, formally speaking, meaning there's no logical issue with the Trinity. Now, what you equivocate upon that logical, you equivocate it in its broad sense, meaning that there is a set of logical systems which can accommodate for that. And then you bring in the ad hoc objection whenever someone rejects your interpretation, your, I don't know if it's a model, a formalization that derives from falsehood.
You done?
Yep.
Okay, good. So, Jake, let's be very clear. Jake is not only admitting that J.C. Beale's sense of consistency, or whatever you want to say, or relative identity, those models are not formally contradictory and are consistent. Jake is also saying that you can have a model of the Trinity that is formally consistent and adheres to classical logic, correct?
And it's adequate, yeah.
You're adding something. Hold on, Silencio.
Meaning it preserves. I'm answering your question. Let me answer your question.
You're adding something else, Silencio.
Let me answer your.
Adequate.
Let me answer your question, please. Let me answer your question. In the same way that a contradiction assumes that the meaning is preserved, if you're saying it can be made formally consistent in a model, I take that to be talking about the Trinitarian statements, which means the truth conditions are preserved in the model.
What determines the truth conditions?
Why is that relevant? What determines the truth conditions?
You'll see why if you answer the question.
It's not relevant.
It is. What determines the truth? What determines
it's irrelevant. The point is that
what determines the truth conditions, sir?
Let me answer.
No, if you answer the hold on.
Let me answer. Stop talking. Stop talking. Let me answer.
If you answer the question,
let me answer the question.
Let me ask you the question. If
you already asked it, let me answer.
Listen, bro, I'm letting you speak up here. Okay, I'm giving you 1 minute uninterrupted to speak.
Then do that again.
I will. Let me just finish the point. If you answer the question and then show me why it's not relevant, then you'll be victorious. So go ahead.
Okay. In the same way that when we say a contradiction, it has to preserve the same meaning. It has to preserve what we're talking about, right? It has to have the truth conditions, and then there has to be a negation behind what we're talking about. So it has to preserve the statements. Now, if someone asks, well, why does it have to preserve the statements? Or what makes it such that the meaning is the same? That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant to the question of the contradiction does have to preserve the meaning in its negation, because it has to be negating the same thing, the same meaning. In the same way, you don't have to answer that. You can have a theory of meaning, a theory of truth, an epistemic framework that helps you derive the truth. And you can define all of those things. You can have a whole system, but just like this is irrelevant, it parallels your tendency to go into irrelevant stuff. Like when Nick was trying to propose a model to you, you could have said, actually, this is a model. The Trinity is logical, but you didn't say that. You said that it's consistent in the same way J.C. Bell's is, which is false. Go ahead.
So you talk for a full minute and you didn't answer the question.
It's because the question's irrelevant.
No,
I'm not answering irrelevant questions.
Exactly. You don't understand.
It's irrelevant. I'm glad you don't
understand. You don't understand why it's relevant, because it matters what actually are the truth preserving conditions, who determines that. And the reason why you cannot...
You didn't even know what a model was until an hour ago.
See, this is what happens. Every time I start talking, you interrupt me.
You just went on like an ape fest talking about my hair, and now you want to act like a civilized person who wants to have a conversation? You need to calm down.
Dude, because you're the one who got disrespectful on your little stream first. First of
I'm
all,
not disrespectful. I'm pointing out the truth.
yeah, you are. Yeah, you are disrespectful. You were disrespectful to Venus, and you booted him
I'm
off.
I'm not disrespectful to Venus. Venus lied. We have it on recording, and it's posted.
You were disrespectful to Venus. You called him a liar.
That's not disrespect. That's the truth. He lied.
You removed him from a stream, and then you went on a tirade about how Jake is a grifter. But yet you're the one who's got long hair, and Paul says you're like a female. So let me finish my point, sir. Let's get back to the actual debate and stop cutting me off. The minute is starting now.
Go ahead.
I'm asking you because earlier you just said it's irrelevant. It's totally irrelevant that Jake is asking this irrelevant question. No, I'm not asking a relevant question because that's going to deal with whether or not the model, which you keep mentioning, the model is.
You don't know what that is,
bro. You can't control yourself, bro. It's like
if you're gonna go on rants, you might as well be on topic.
Okay, so Silencio, when you talk for a minute and I don't think you're addressing my question, and I sit there quiet on my own live.
After you just aped out talking about my hair, you want to talk like a normal human being. That's funny.
No,
but if this entire time, I haven't been asking you any questions. After you ask this question, after you ask this question, I'm going to ask you a question that's very relevant to this subject.
No, what's going to happen here is you're going to see very clearly.
No, I'm going to sit on my live and interrogate you. You came into my live.
Interrogating, bro. You're missing the point.
You came into my live.
I'm trying to show you.
You can't look at Jake. Give me my
regarding the LPT. This idiot doesn't know that Jake Brancatella, in his own paper, in his Twitter post, and my own track record for what I've been saying for 7+ years publicly, is that of course you can have the Trinity be formally consistent. I've always said that. That's not the point. The point is that the initial LPT is being set up as a problem of forming an inconsistent set. And then based upon how you respond to that, it inevitably winds up in metaphysical problems, or more broadly speaking, logical problems in the informal sense of having metaphysical issues. That's always been my claim. So when Silencio, Nick, and company think that they're establishing something new, they're not establishing anything new. They're just coping. They think that they are. Now go ahead and respond to that, genius.
All right. I mean, I don't even know how to respond to that. But in your paper, I guess it's better to just directly reference your paper. In your paper, you immediately go from the same method of interpretation. Here, you're talking about interpretation function because you're talking about inconsistent set. And then you talk about formalizing using predication versus is of identity. You then automatically switch into metaphysics without further qualification. And this goes forth to provide evidence against what I'm saying against you, which is that you constantly equivocate between the two because you don't know what a model is. In your paper, you don't define the distinction between the LPT as a formal issue and as a metaphysical issue. You just suddenly switch into using the notion of illogical in the metaphysical sense and then equivocate it with a set theoretic sense. Go ahead.
Show me where I say that the Trinity is illogical in a metaphysical sense in the paper.
Did you listen to what I said?
Go ahead. Waiting.
No, did you listen to what I said?
Yeah, you just said that I call it illogical in a metaphysical sense. Go ahead.
Okay. The claim is that these 7 propositions are necessary for Trinitarians to form an inconsistent set. Inconsistent set in logic, if you didn't know, right, that's what it means for something to be illogical. In the next line, without further qualification, all the way down, you say, on this interpretation, the first 3 propositions result in the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, each individually and equally being divine or God. Propositions 4 to 6 merely reject modalism, affirming the distinction of each divine person in the Trinity. The final proposition is a claim of monotheism. And then you mentioned Bo Branson, as you always do. As Bo Branson notes, the result of the first 6 propositions is that there are 3 gods because of how we count today. Today we count Fs. That's metaphysical notion. You're talking about a counting method. And then you're saying it's illogical because of the way we count in the metaphysical sense, namely by Fs. If there's 3 Gs and each G is a P, then there's 3 Ps. Or if there's 3 Ps and each P is a G, then there's 3 Gs. You're welcome.
Your time is up. So you keep saying that I'm mentioning Bo Branson. Bo Branson did his PhD thesis on the logical problem of the Trinity. It's literally called The Logical Problem of the Trinity. Then he has, I want to just pull it up here because I don't want to misquote the name of the article. Okay, so he has a paper, which I think it's listed here in 2019, called No New Solutions to the Logical Problem of the Trinity. Have you read that?
Can you respond to what I just said?
I just asked you a question.
You went on to Bo Branson. You asked me where you equivocated.
You brought up Branson.
You asked me. I mentioned Bo Branson to mention the section in which you equivocate. You're moving from where you equivocating to trying to run to Bo Branson like you always do. Engage with what I said.
Branson's paper is called No New Solutions to the Logical Problem of the Trinity. Have you read the paper, sir? You could just say no.
I mentioned Bo Branson's because you asked me where in your paper. Give me my chance to respond. Mentioned Bo.
Have you read it or not?
I mentioned Bo Branson because in your paper you asked me to point out where you equivocate. Now deal with it. Do you equivocate or not? Stop trying to run to one of Bo Branson's papers.
Have you read the paper, sir?
Are you going to engage? I'm not answering irrelevant questions. I answered.
Are you scared to admit you haven't read the paper? What's the big deal?
I answered. This line of questioning started like this. You asked me where in your paper do you say that it's metaphysically illogical? I pointed it out by showing you the section where you mentioned Bo Branson, not to reference specifically anything about Bo Branson, so that you could go in your own paper and see where you equivocate, as you asked me to do. After I provided that to you, you then now want to move into one of Bo Branson's papers that has nothing to do with what you initially asked me. Do you see that line of thought there?
It does, actually. So have you read the paper?
No. Do you see that line of thought? It's irrelevant.
Have you read the paper, sir?
Do you see how it's irrelevant?
Have you read the paper, sir?
Do you see how it's irrelevant?
Okay, I'm just going to accept that you haven't read the paper. Now you're going to be quiet and give me my minute.
Do you see how it's irrelevant?
You're going to be quiet and give me my minute because you still haven't answered.
Did you equivocate, yes or no?
You still haven't answered the question.
I answered. You asked me where in your paper did you say metaphysically it's illogical. I provided it to you. Now you want to talk about Bo Branson?
Listen, dude. I asked you a question about in the paper. You made a claim about in the paper that I used the word illogical in the metaphysical sense, and I asked you to give me the reference for that, please.
And I showed you where in your paper you did that.
No, you did not.
Yes, I did. I said where it starts, where you mentioned Bo Branson. You then mention being the counting method, there being 3 Ps or 3 Gs. Each being a P means there's 3 Ps. There are 3 Ps, each being a G means there's 3 Gs. That's to mention the section. You asked me, I provided the section, and that's the end of it.
Okay, is the counting method relevant to the formal structure of the LPT that Branson uses?
Okay, wow, it's like I'm talking to a child. You asked me, where in your paper did you equivocate?
Exactly.
Did you use illogical? You asked me where in your paper did you use the term illogical to refer to metaphysics? I provided it to you. You now want to talk about Bo Branson. Stop jumping.
Okay, good.
Deal with that. You don't know
you.
what illogical means, and I proved it to you. That's it. That's the end of it.
Silencio, cállate la boca.
Deal with it. Deal with it.
You're an idiot, bro. You want to have this debate in Spanish? Maybe it'll be easier for you. I don't know.
You're losing people to buy your course right now. I know you're upset about it.
No, I'm not.
It's okay.
Bro. No, I'm not, bro.
Maybe
I'm
you're
not
going to have to
living-
lower the price
I'm
to
not-
$50.
I'm like you. I'm not living in an apartment paid for by my mother. I'm not.
Yeah, you're living
bro.
in Morocco by your grifted fans.
No, I'm not. I'm actually living here with my own business, unlike you.
Yeah, the business of grifting.
You're too stupid to keep up with that.
It's because your GoFundMe gets $5,000 from people you grift.
Why do people want to follow me and donate to me and not you? It's because you're an idiot.
It's because you're a grifter who charges $500. I don't charge anything for my papers.
You don't. Yeah, because they're not worth anything. They're not even
because it's my first paper I put out.
They're not even worth toilet paper, dude. You can't even properly distinguish between than and then. You're an idiot.